the king of Israel begins coming against the king of Moab. Now, the Israelites are slaughtering the Moabites at God's command, and they're winning this war. The king of Moab gets nervous, and he sees the defeat coming, and it's inevitable. So he tries to break through he takes a bunch of his mighty men and tries to break through the fight to get to Edom to ask the Edomites for help. Okay? Now, look at this. When the king of Moab saw that the battle was too fierce for him, he took with him 700 men who drew swords to break through to the king of Edom, but they couldn't do it. So he took his oldest son, who was to reign in his place, the prince, and offered him as a burnt sacrifice on the wall. And there came great wrath against Israel, and they departed from him and returned to their own land. I've never seen a commentator be able to explain this, and what's going on here is the Moabites worshipped an entity called Chemosh, and it was an entity that demanded child sacrifice. Okay? So what the king was doing, he was seeing this inevitable beating and slaughter coming against his people. He tries to break through and get help from another army, but he can't do it. So what does he do? He's going to appease his God. So he takes his oldest son up on top of the wall and murders him right in front of everybody and offers him as a sacrifice to Chemosh. And then look what happens. Great wrath comes against Israel, and Israel runs away. This is an important thing to show that this is not something you play around with. This isn't a joke. This isn't superstition. This turned back Israel. This evoking of this God. Now, no one knows what happened. I'm seeing everything here from Israel got scared and they lost their faith, and so God kind of allowed them to get beat back. We don't know exactly what happened here, but the plain fact of this is this evoking of this God, this demon, beat Israel back, and they couldn't go anywhere. So this is God's people getting beat back. Then this morning we talked about Ezekiel 8, where Ezekiel is allowed to look into the temple where God's presence supposedly is, and what does he see? He sees women crying for a demon. He sees the leaders worshiping animals on the wall. They're drawn on the wall. And then he sees the priests worshiping the sun. And this is happening in the temple of Yahweh. And so this isn't unprecedented fact that the devil has been in the temple. The devil has been making God's people fearful. In Mark chapter 1 and 2, what does Jesus do? Jesus is in the temple, and who does he meet in the temple? A demon-possessed man. Jesus is in the temple, and a demon comes in. So if Jesus himself is in the temple, and a demon comes in, if you see this, what we just read here, if you see Ezekiel allowed to see the abominations going on in the temple, it shouldn't surprise any of us that Satan's desire is to get into your church, and get into your small group, and get into a place where he can wreak havoc and make you ineffective in your walk with Christ. And that's why we have to look at some of these spiritual things that he's using today that a lot of people just don't see. And so with that, President, let's go on. Okay, we're just going to do Freemasonry quickly here because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but this is the Masonic sign. And that G, as you go through it, and the reason I know a lot of this is because Freemasonry, believe it or not, is huge in Haiti. Every voodoo priest I deal with is a high-level Freemason. And so, and also members of the Catholic Church, by the way. And so, you look at this and they tell you, they've come out of it and now they're saved, and so they start telling you things. When you first enter the lodge, they tell you this stands for generational. So, we're a generational secret society, we hand stuff down, whatever. Then you get up a little higher, and the way Freemasonry works is you go up through degrees. So you start in the first degree, and when you get to the third degree, you're considered a Master Mason. Most people don't go beyond that. But if they see potential in you, they will keep you rising up in the degrees. And the top degree is the 33rd. Okay, 33rd degree is the highest degree in Freemasonry. But like I said, most people do not make it past the third degree. If you don't make it past the third degree, you're never really privy to what's really going on in the Masonic Lodge. All you know is we have hospitals, we do parades, we do community service, and that's it. So don't think all Freemasonry is wicked people. When you're not privy to the knowledge at higher levels, you're stuck in the deception that you're doing good. When you get up to the 33rd degree, why 33rd? Because Jesus died at what age? 33. What percentage of the angels got kicked out of heaven and now are demons? A third, 33%. This is a big number in numerology and occult magic, the number 33. And so that's the reasoning. There's a few more reasons that are more esoteric, but that's two of the big reasons. And so when you you start off generations, you get up past the 3rd degree, and then they tell you, well, what that really means is geometry. We're Masons. And then when you get up to the 33rd degree, they tell you what it really means, and what it really means is gnosis. And gnosis is the word for knowledge in the Greek. And gnosis is what these people are seeking. And really, the search for knowledge has been at the root of all evil for all time. Why did Eve eat the apple? Eat the fruit? Because she wanted knowledge. She wanted to be like God. And God told her, what? If you eat, what are you going to gain? Knowledge. Knowledge is good and evil. So this quest for knowledge, hidden knowledge, secret knowledge, has been with us since the inception of mankind. And this leads you in the direction of wickedness. When you read some of the apocryphal books, like the Book of Enoch and some of these other books, you read in there, and they're not canon, and you can't take everything in there for truth. But what you see in there is interesting. You see the demons giving the wicked people that God kills with the flood, they're all receiving secret knowledge from demons. And so in there it tells you about their demons are showing them how to harvest metal from the earth and create weapons. And demons are showing them this secret advanced knowledge. And it's my opinion that this is still going on today. Some of the knowledge out there is so high and so mighty, and knowledge today is doubling every 6 months. It's crazy how fast knowledge is going. And if you think about the fact that I can pick up right now and make a text and it ends up in Japan in a second, there's really high-level knowledge going on in the world right now. And rituals, high-level rituals, things like that are going on to gain this knowledge. So at the high level of Freemasonry, ritualistic adherence to spirits is going on to gain knowledge. And that's why all these rulers of the world, Chancellor of Germany, the Emperor of Japan, all these people are Freemasons. And you have to wonder, when all these mighty people are Freemasons, the titans of industry, the entertainment industry, the music industry, athletes, they're all in the Masonry. And you have to start asking questions, what's really going on? Go to the next screen. That's the inside of another inside of one, but look at the top. You got that triangle and you got the sun sign, okay? The triangle is also a sign in the occult. And a lot of times, like your dollar bill, what's on the back of the dollar bill? That triangle with what inside of it? The eye, okay? That's the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. Comes from Egyptian lore, the eye of Horus. So this is the eye of Seth, which is Satan. And so this is all wickedness, and Freemasonry is responsible for putting that on the back of your dollar bill, by the way. Go to the next one. George Washington was a Freemason. All the founding fathers were Freemasons. Okay? So we get this narrative that these people were great Christian men and this and that and that. And I'm not saying some of them weren't Christian, a lot of them were deists, which is another conversation for another day, and that's not Christianity, by the way. But look at the floor he's standing on. Okay? And look at his apron, the triangle and the compass and the ruler, and he's a Mason. Benjamin Franklin was a Mason. Thomas Jefferson was a Mason. James Madison was a Mason. And you go on and on and on and on. And these people had a desire for certain things. And there's a whole teaching you can do on Washington, D.C. itself, and you can see the evidence of the occult there too. Go to the next one. This is Truman, who dropped 2 atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And he was a 33rd degree Mason. Okay, go to the next one. This is Albert Pike. Look at the number in the middle of his triangle there. It's 33. It's 33rd degree Mason. This is looked at as the Grand Wizard, the father of Freemasonry. This is Albert Pike. He was a Confederate general, and he had a lot of society roles as a general, and I think he was a lawyer, things like that. But he wrote the book, which is considered the Bible on Freemasonry. The book is called Dogmas and Morals and Dogmas. And when you read that book, I'm going to read you some excerpts from that book so you can not have any doubt that Freemasonry is wicked. Do I have my glasses back there? I don't know, I might.
It's the lighting, Malcolm. It's not your age, it's the lighting.
It's the lighting. Make me feel better. Okay, let me read to you this Morals and Dogma. So this is Albert Pike talking here. I'm going to read you 3 excerpts from his book. Okay, so this is the first one. Then everywhere, he's talking. Now this is talking about the apocalypse and the end of time. Then everywhere, the people will be forced to defend themselves against civilization and the multitudes who are disillusioned with Christianity, whose spirit will be from that moment without direction and leadership and anxious for an ideal, but without knowledge where to send its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into public view. A manifestation which will result from a general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Okay? So he's talking about this destruction of Christianity. The next segment here, and this is important. Masonry, like all religions, he's telling you right there, this is a religion to them. Masonry, like all religions, all the mysteries, Hermeticism and alchemy, conceals its secrets from all except the adepts and the sages or the elect, and uses false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who deserve only to be misled. That's all of us, by the way. So when you're interviewing, when you see an interview of a Mason, you're asking, what's this symbol mean? And he tells you it's a lie. It's a purposeful lie. He's misleading you purposefully because that's what they're told to do. And they do it with a straight face, and they do it very effectively. Okay, so you can't believe what a Mason says. They'll tell you a lie about everything, and you'll think they're just good community service people, but they're telling you in this book they're liars. They're lying to you. And then this last one here, and this is an excerpt from a speech that Albert Pike gave to 23 33rd degree Masons at their when they were accepting their 33rd degree. So these are high-level, people that are bent on evil things. So he says this: that which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspector General, as we call 33rd degree Mason, a Sovereign Grand Inspector General. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspector Generals, we say this, and you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be by all of us initiates of the high degrees maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, the God of the Christians, whose deeds prove cruelty, perfidy, and hatred of man, barbarism, and repulsion for science, would Adonai and his priests calumniate him? Yes, Lucifer is God. And unfortunately, Adonai is also God. For the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black. For the absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary for light to serve as its foil, as the pedestal is necessary to the statue, and the brake to the locomotive. Thus, the doctrine of Satanism is heresy, and the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai. But Lucifer, the god of light and god of good, is always struggling for humanity against Adonai, the god of darkness and wickedness. Right there, he's calling our God darkness and wickedness, and he's calling Lucifer the god of light and knowledge. And these people, what they believe is God was evil, and this gets into Gnosticism, which is a whole 6-hour lecture by itself. But Gnosticism believes that Adam and Eve in the garden, God, Adonai, was evil because he wouldn't give them his knowledge. He kept it from them. And then Satan came in and liberated mankind by giving them the knowledge of good and evil that God was keeping from them. So Satanists and Luciferians and Masons, they all think of Satan as our champion, the one who came and liberated us from the wicked Adonai who's keeping knowledge from us. Okay? And so I really want you to understand that, because that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with high-level Freemasonry. Not low-level, high-level Freemasonry. This is their book, and this is what, and anybody can buy this book and read it. So check me on this if you don't believe it, but this is all right for anybody to see. You can go to the next one. This is the Skull and Bones. So this is a secret society out of Freemasonry, but it's at Yale University. So Yale University, who's a Skull and Bones Mason? So this is beyond Freemasonry. So you get to the 33rd degree, and then you go beyond into these secret societies, and these become the leaders and the movers and shakers in our world. So who is a Skull and Bones? George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, John Kerry. These are all Skull and Bones Masons out of Yale University. So think of this. In the election, I can't remember exactly what year, but George W. Bush is representing the Republicans, and John Kerry is representing the Democrats. They're both Skull and Bones Masons. Now, Masons have an allegiance order, hierarchy. This is their allegiance. Masons, God. family, self. Masons, your Masonic allegiance is the highest allegiance if you're a Freemason, not God. God's second. So, when you're voting for, when you have two Skull and Bones Masons to vote for, does it matter who you're voting for? Not at all, because they're both assigned to the same exact thing. And the thing about it is they'll just do it in different ways to keep the division between us going. And so a lot of this stuff is pawns on the chessboard, and they think of us as pawns on the chessboard. And they're the ones who are the puppeteers. They're the ones doing it all. They're the ones making it all up. And we're just sitting here getting mad at each other and falling into this, when in reality, both sides are playing the same game. Go to the next one. And this is just for your consideration. Okay, I talked to you about the eye of Lucifer. Now, behind that church is an eye, okay, in stained glass. Now, that to me doesn't make a lot of sense in a Christian church. And this is David Jeremiah's church. And you can look this up yourself. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to say anything, because I listen to the man. I believe he's a Christian, and I believe he teaches well. I just have no idea why he has an eye in his stained glass behind him at every service. And that's just creepy looking at him. Okay? So just I'm just giving you, see these things and just start asking questions. Okay? Let's go to the next one. This is women's Freemasonry called Eastern Star. Okay? And a lot of people call these Eastern Star witches. I told you this morning about the pentagram. And I told you when it's upside down, it's referencing black magic and Satanism. This is the logo for the Eastern Star Masonry, and this is the female Masonry. Okay? And so this, you can just look at that and see what they're all about. Go to the next one. This is the Shriners. Shriners are beyond 33rd degree. They're into some wicked things. When you look at the Shriners, and then if you're a Shriner, there's an outsourcing you can go beyond Shriners called the Jesters. And the Jesters are all married men, high in society, doctors, lawyers, whatever. And the thing about the Jesters is they have these huge orgies where they bring in high-end escorts and do secret society orgies and sex rituals and all this kind of stuff. People are sick. But we're told, oh, they make hospitals, they care for kids and all this other stuff. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. These people all have a wicked agenda, and look at, why is there a pentagram in every doggone logo that they have? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so just don't be, and this is out of Egypt, by the way, the Shriners. It's an Arabic order. And so the Pharaoh is in there. And Pharaoh is no friend of Christians, by the way. He's actually a type of Satan when you look in the Bible. All right? Go to the next one. And this is just a few pictures of Masons in their meetings. This is Bohemian Grove. And in Bohemian Grove is a forest in California where the highest officials in the world meet for some secret meeting. And look at this. Henry Kissinger is there. George Shultz is there. Gerald Ford is there. And what you'll see when you see these meetings, if the lists come out of who's there, it's Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, they're all there. You know what they're getting? They're getting their marching orders for the year. They do this every single year. And there's meetings like this meeting, the Bilderberg meeting, meetings that we can't have access to what's going on in there. And it's funny that we elect people, but they have private meetings and we don't know what's happening in the private meetings. And so and I can tell you stories about, what goes on in here and all this kind of stuff, but this is satanic, and I'll show you the next photo of what they're doing, because this is in Bohemian Grove. This has been photographed a ton. Go to the next one. That's actually Prince Albert and Ronald Reagan and Nixon, and I mean, it just goes on and on, okay? You can't trust anything. Go to the next one. Now, this is what they end with at the end of their Bohemian Grove meeting, okay? They end with this effigy, and that's a huge owl, okay? And this is representative of Molech. And so this is what they do. All those people down there with those hoods on, those are all the people you just saw in the pictures. So these are our top political leaders, our top people in the world, running around like druids in the middle of the night doing rituals, where in this ritual, see that fire going up? They say it's a fake person, but they're burning a body on that altar there. And they say it's a fake body, but there's a lot of people that question whether that's really a fake body or not. Put it like this. Last year, 85 million kids went missing in the world, and they're not found. Okay? These kids are being used for sinister reasons, and a lot of it is this kind of sacrifice, the sacrifices people do in the dark, in the satanic realm. Go to the next one. Okay, I'm going to go over quickly yoga, and the reason I'm going over this I went over Freemasons because there's Freemasons in the church, there's Freemasons in pulpits everywhere.